Vigil. Cafe is a huge map where you tend to almost always roam the same way of a top to bottom style. So you're going to want to have a lot of good info denial options. You're going to want to have like that Solus, for example, that can break a lot of drones in the early rounds. So when you're falling away, you still get something of value that isn't just wasting time. We're going to have to obviously wait a whole nother half before we can really conclude to that outcome. But on the attacking half, one thing I would also like to see improved on for Mirage has to probably be just their initial entry in the map. They lost a lot of entries against TSM, and they also wouldn't punish their roamers when they were falling back. But taking a look at the bans already, it seems like things have gotten a little more to the normal side. Again, you have another Ying ban here for TSM. She's great on this map at Cafe, but we do see that Nook ban I was briefly highlighting, earlier back in map number 1.
Kind of sad we're not seeing another like Zoe, or sorry, not Iana-esque ban. Yeah, I mean, all of these bans make perfect sense, right? I mean, Ying is Ying. She's a comfort ban literally everywhere, plus Mirage are a team that brings her. Nook is great on pretty much every map, especially a 3-tiered map like Cafe that involves a lot of vertical play, so you take an important set of nades off the board. Azami, good everywhere. Solus, also, again, 3-tiered map, lots of verticality. Like, every ban here is to be expected. However, what's not expected, John, what is a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Mira and Valkyrie both left up and both being played in the same round. That is a sight for sore eyes.
You've got Snake with the black eye cameras who can help assist your roamers up above again if you have any kind of info that can help with someone being on them to shock call saying, hey, this is a good time to fall back. This is someone playing in that position, go take a gunfight with them, etc., etc. But also having the Mira to help fortify your anchor is also very important for a bomb site like Double Kitchen, where it can sometimes be hard to stop a plant from going down, but now having that Mira looking immediately at the bomb site of at least the western side of Kitchen,
what the heck?
And also having another one for that small bakery extension, it is going to be helpful for TSM. But Mirage, I don't think they're... Yeah, I'm not really too sure they're going to do a default top to bottom clear. I think they're going to go direct. What is Rob cooking?
This is crazy.
This?
I have never seen someone flip
the cutoff for reception here. All the way out on that little... Oh, he gets off. Never mind. Yeah, that is wild.
That's actually insane. And now the glass is right up on the small bake window. What do Mirage have in store? I mean, maybe they smoke off the double door and send it through to try and capitalize on Gasher playing in Bake. I just heard a smoke. I hear a Gone 6. Here comes the blitz. John, call me clairvoyant. Wow. What the hell? Dexter with the opening kill, but Bolo with a quick refrag. Dusts the Nomad. We're back to even. And while Mirage have very early bakery presence, now they've got the hard task of pushing themselves into the bomb site itself. And, okay. Wow! What? All right.
Merc just found both of them. Okay.
Yes.
Looked promising at the beginning, but Merc just swinging down from Red Hall completely stops this play dead in its tracks. Now leaving just Hyper, entering Bakery. He found one really long kill onto Bolo, but it's a 1 versus 3, and you've got those mirror windows we talked about briefly. You've got a C4 by Snake, and you've got range to play against Hyper here. These long crossfires he's going to have to worry about with very limited info. So this looks to be around in the books for TSM, and it is off of, yeah, you guessed it, a long angle being backpacked by 2 Miras. Look at this.
That's a crazy stack up. And a crazy round from TSM. I mean, what an effort from Merc. We were talking about the play with the Capitao. He was maybe over pushing in some of those rounds, not being able to find Mo on the underneath. But look, I mean, every single time we've criticized him, he has turned things around the round right after. So huge stuff from Merc to make sure that even though Mirage got quick bakery control, they couldn't do anything with it. Great job. Now, we work our way upstairs. Merc now sitting on the Warden rather than the Oryx. Mira being dropped, but Valkyrie being kept. I think the Valkyrie definitely aided Merc in those swings. I mean, I guarantee he didn't do that without info.
Would have to guarantee it. At least just some sort of info, maybe not a black eye camera, but someone just calming, hey, they're in small bake. We should get some aggression right here to deal with that problem, and it still worked. So no matter how you slice it, there was info involved in that play by Merc. And now for TSM, I like as well them keeping the Valkyrie like you'd mentioned a little bit, just to also help with the C4s, to maybe stop some vertical, as I believe that's what Mirage is going to want to go for here, a much more standard top to bottom clear, but they have Dexter on IQ. So he could theoretically find these black eye cameras if he's actively looking for them, but you know, it's a big game of cat and mouse, and you still have a lot to accomplish in the round other than just hunting down those black eye cameras. So it all depends on what Mirage has thrown at them and how much pressure they have put onto them at that same time.
Indeed, but the IQ at least is certainly going to help. And look at that, already getting one. Look at that.
Love to see it.
Absolutely. Of course, with any reading push, any good reading push, you got to have some presence on the top floor. They're going to be tasked first and foremost with clearing Pixel, where Bolo is playing behind the shield, of course, aided by one of those Valkyrie cameras, aided by Achieved sitting underneath an early C4 from Merc. Looked like he was trying to pop it up through the hatch, but it will miss. But of course, like I said, Achieved still has one in pocket. You're still not completely out of options in terms of freebies. Melted opens up that white window, puts a little bit of pressure on Achieved. Lots of utility going Bolo's way. The shield will be cleared. He's forced to fall back. So Mirage so far are making pretty good time. Now they got to force themselves into long bar and cocktail and then start working the vert after.
Say Merc just falling back, probably expecting people to drop down red. He'd be very exposed to that person if he was still playing close towards the skylight, so now he's in a much safer position to do his job, holding these longer angles, still keeping very solid ports of the map in his pocket. Snake dodging the Rotero drone, just currently trying to waste even more time up above. This extension really not being pushed back for the next couple of seconds. Mirage finally enters the building properly, but they still have a lot left to accomplish here.
Especially with Bolo just kind of sitting there tucked in, and with Merc
God.
going huge for the second round in a row. Benji and Dexter dusted by the Warden, and now what the hell do Mirage do? They've lost their 2 entries. They've got Sledge, so I mean, if they get themselves in, they can still maybe work vert and try to find a pick on site. But the fact still remains that Merc is playing forward on the head holes. Bolo is in bathroom. The hard breach is not, well, okay. One of the hard breach out of the 6 is going to be able to go off, but I mean, Merc just kind of shoots the rest off of it. Mohess trying to get sneaky. Hyper joins him, gets a nice shot on the Snake. There's a follow-up and a rally from Mirage. 3 kills in a row without a response from TSM. They fall silent as they give up the top floor.
Only problem though now, you've got only 20 seconds to work with. Gasher still 2 smoke grenades in his back pocket, and Mirage, they're going for a default execute. They've got to readjust.
And they are rotating around towards 90. They spot out the Wamai, but they lose the fight. Bolo gets the first one, instantly traded back. It all falls on Gasher. 1v2, but with only 1 second remaining, Melton's getting it down. As long as Hyper covers, they win it. And Gasher doesn't know where it is. He's got no info. He's got to drop in a pillar and now take the straight up 1v2 post plant. The attacker's now in the advantage, despite Melton being so low. Gasher's shot may have just revealed his location, trying to pre-fire around. Hyper might even get the res. No, leaving Mohesi to die, but that's fine with the time whittling away. He is getting the res, never mind. Now a 1 versus 3, even worse for Gasher. He's got to chase the 1v1s. Mirage are playing it so smart. They lose Hyper, but they're so far afield that Gasher cannot possibly get all the kills in time. Mohesi gets him from the grave, and Mirage, what a turnaround on the top floor.
The readjustment, not only on the middle floor, the second a Toxic Babe went out, they rotate across the map and catch TSM as they're still backpedaling. But like you mentioned, up above, having the Nomad still holding a cutoff angle to make sure no one can fall back off the roam. They have to commit to that top floor, and the rest of Mirage just slither in from the skylight, kill both the person still over in Cocktail, but also isolate, I believe it was Merc still, over near the freezer slash little bar position as the Warden. Yeah, so although they really flopped trying to get in through Pixel, like I mentioned, the readjustment, it was beautiful. And TSM really had no kind of insurance policy to deal with that, because again, your freezer player and your cocktail defender cannot join forces back with the positions that Mirage had, with their 3 attackers still playing up above and one of them being on the window rappel, which is always so potent on a map like Cafe. So given the circumstances that Mirage were put in, they really did everything they could to salvage that round, and they did exactly that.
especially as such a young team too. I mean, absolutely fantastic. That is a momentum seizer from Mirage. I mean, they have got to be hyped. And now it's mining for TSM. Avoiding bar for now. Again, they're going to be playing on the top floor, but they've got a little bit more of a train set up, centralized around Gasher, the castle. Mirage looking like they're going... maybe... Okay, never mind. That was just for an early... I thought they were going to, like, go for, like, a bottom uptake for a sec, which would have been a little bit weird, but it was just for early cutoff. So, typical top-down take, as you see on Cafe. Uh-oh. And Bolo disconnects. And it's, I believe, of course, it's left up to the admins, but I'm pretty sure it's too late for a rehost. And TSM, I think, know that, because they're not even calling for it.
Well, if Bolo cannot join back in the allotted time, maybe a tech pause will be in need. Hopefully not, but we'll have to wait and see how the rest of that builds up. C4 goes off on the castle barricade, probably hearing the rappel right by it, trying to maybe work a free kill just to equalize in this now unfortunate 4v4. Bolo does return. Not gonna have to worry about that problem later on. But Mirage just trying to take advantage off of that essential free opening gunfight. Still trying to clear out this top floor presence attempted by TSM. Another Rotero drone comes in by, just giving more info on where Snake is, and now forcing him to move back into Cocktail once again.
Someone who has not been forced back, though, is Merc, who is challenging the windows. Here's the drop, takes the fight, but loses it to Dexter. So, disconnect plus opening pick gives Mirage a 2-man advantage heading into the latter half of this round now as we eclipse the minute 15 mark. Achieved finally falls off his bathroom position, but they're still upstairs. Even though Mirage had the first couple picks, still plenty of map to try and take. Achieved supporting as well with that cardiac sensor, likely spots this player on the rappel, which Snake is ready for. Probably has the info on the exact position too, but he's just going to fall away. So top floor control in the hands of Mirage. 50 seconds left, but TSM don't have a smoke. They don't have a C4. So even though the time is low, there's no way they can stop a plant.
They just have to get desperate and really hope that someone on Mirage trying to rotate a floor lower just gets caught in a bad spot, and it's a winnable gunfight there for TSM. But Mirage, they're so conjoined together. I don't really think TSM are going to have many options to work picks in this 3 versus 5. No one's really trying to push him by themselves, except maybe Benji, but he's still just taking his time, creeping down white, waiting for the rest of his teammates to be ready to execute, and then he'll be just some sort of X factor in the background.
And it's really smart, because if you're in a 5v3, as long as you play the trades, you'll win almost every time, but there's a flank from the Pulse, which could find Fruit. Snake gets the first kill on the execute at least, but Dexter quickly refrags. Achieved. There's the flank finally coming into play, but he's cut off by Hyper after the plant is completed, leaving Gasher alone. Blindsides the sledge. Puts himself in a 1 versus 2. Now it's more winnable, but there's a player outside, both players outside, in fact, playing off the windows, and that, in and of itself, is going to make this nigh impossible for Gasher, barring some monumental mistake. But the time is ticking down, 20 seconds on the clock. Gasher, he's just forced to try and bait it, but there's still some utility left for the attack. They can simply stun in, delay him even longer. Gasher's just got no choice. I mean, he's not going to die, but it doesn't matter in the end. Finally, he's finished off, and Mirage take the lead.
Great discipline as well by Mirage to not just give away essentially a free round. They're up 2 players. No one can, again, retake the top floor safely, so they can use that to their own advantage to, again, set up the execute. So, again, what options do TSM have to work any kind of refrags there? Essentially none, except to, you know, again, maybe catch some sort of Hail Mary flank when Mirage is still setting up to isolate someone. But again, Mirage were not, you know, they weren't really putting themselves in a spot where they could be vulnerable to a flank. So although you had, you know, I think it was Achieved maybe getting 1 as Pulse there, it was an instant trade. And Mirage had enough utility just to guarantee that they get mining room for free, they can plant the diffuser, and then just sit outside with, again, TSM not having any possibilities of getting out there and winning that 1v2 retake. So again, Mirage playing super well disciplined to get an impactful round, just to keep that ball rolling on the attacking half. I think you tend to see the defensive side still be a bit more favorable in Cafe. So the more attacking rounds they can rack up in this first half on their opponent's map pick, the better off they'll be.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they just played the trade game. They had enough manpower.
They kept it simple.
Every single angle. And Grim, he's switching off that. He's gotta. It's probably just a bait.
Hold up, let him.
It's just a bait job. Glaz might not be.
You know, maybe they're gonna use Grim's gadget to like, I don't know, it's like a pseudo Capitao and just like make sure no one can swing in the small big. That's stretching it.
No, he's
stretching it as I was also gonna mention they don't have a blitz for this, so it'd be very obtuse to want to go for that kind of play without the blitz and then adding a Grim. Yeah, I was really trying to get out there for all the Grim fans, like the whole two of them in chat. The whole two of them in chat right now. I'm sorry, I tried.
Bro, bold of you to assume that the only 2 Grim fans in the world are both going to be in chat. Yeah, no Grim, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately. Where's Grim from again? He's Singaporean, right?
I believe so. Not 100%.
Singaporean. Because Rudy's Thai. So we already have a Thai operator. Yeah, pretty sure he's from Singapore. That's where Serena and I want to go for our honeymoon. Singapore's really nice, actually. I would love to go back there. But TSM, you know, what? All right. Anyway, TSM, I'm going to ignore that. Switching up a little bit too, bringing a Tachanka from Gasher. You know, I don't know if that's going to stop the rush, but he can try. I admire it.
At least he's gonna buy your teammates more time to adapt and then try to, you know, deal with the rush at some point. It's just again, it's buying your teammates more time to be somewhere else in the map. Mirage also expecting a little bit of maybe damage to be dealt with some verticals, so they're going to be playing up above as well. And there it is, the hop up with the help of some smokes, and Gasher is now dead again. The exact same location, Bakery completely grasped by the hands of Mirage in another 5-on-4.
So unfortunately for Gasher, I was right. The Tachanka did not, in fact, stop the blitz rush, John. Truly, truly unfortunate. And Hyper's got a spot on Bolo. Looking to catch the Jaeger as he backs up, which the Jaeger does, but unfortunately the 5-dive to Commando does not land quite enough damage on the Jaeger to finish him off. So Bolo still persists in coat check. Merc is retreated back into the site as Oryx, though he's looking to push out. Almost gets the drop on Dexter, but instead eats some damage and has to fall away. The Blitz, of course, playing with the shield left undamaged there. And Mirage are slowly beginning to constrict these players. The first target, of course, if they have the vertical play, is going to be Bolo, but they don't even need it. Never mind. Dexter is covering the angle, rips Bolo's head off, and now it's a 5v3 with a Glaz and a Blitz up. All right, make that a Glaz up. All right. Merc is just going crazy. Never mind. Snake a follow-up. And just like we saw in round number 2, Mirage started off with the lead, but TSM, 3 in a row. It's a reverse. Hyper's left upstairs alone, figuring, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Attempting to breaching charge the floor, trying to get some semblance of vertical play. Actually going to use the breaching charge to herald the drop and avoided the freaking frost mat. He just walked right by it. He gets the drop unachieved. Now we're back to a 2 versus 2. The HP advantage squarely in the attacker's favor as well. Melted just looks the wrong way for a second, but doesn't die. And Hyper left unchecked. Snake with the whip around. His team is back in the advantage. Melted only has 10 seconds to play with. He's got to try and force himself in. The case also far afield. He'll not pick it up as he knows he doesn't have time to play with it. And Snake finishes him off. Very harrowing situation for a few moments there, but TSM come away with the win.
And it's what we saw both times that site was in play and attempted by Mirage to attack it with that blitz. Merc just making sure he can get in a position to just be a bully, making sure that Mirage cannot set up with the help of that man advantage, with the help of that bakery control, with the blitz to potentially get a plant down and then force away TSM. Albeit, I'm not really too sure how effective a plant would even be for Mirage if they don't get someone to, like, for example, lurk or have their buck go back up above and hold vertical, because the long angles, they're not going to be challenged by a blitz, obviously. So who's covering for that? It'd be very tricky position for Mirage to work for once they actually get into the bomb site, and that also probably played to credit people like Merc to then just get aggressive and then win gunfights, because Mirage are just struggling to find a way to, like, actually get into the bomb site while still dealing with those long-range angles, especially because they didn't have anyone, like I mentioned, lurking in the late round to just cause chaos and and make more space for their teammates. Because now if there's someone lurking down by Freezer, for example, now some of those players that are holding longer angles near the Mira or near the sink, for example, their eyes have to revert elsewhere, giving your Blitz, more room to close that gap and, do his job as Blitz.
Not the Castle or Rooney double up on Heaven.
Those brothers are not getting in.
I've never seen that before, I can safely say. And Snake is getting daring. Oh,
the one-hit melee when he hears the repel, I think we see it. This could be like a double kill.
Here's it. They're going up. Come on, Snake. Boo. Boo. Hiss.
Oh, even the hiss?
Even the hiss.
That felt personal.
Even the hiss. I can't believe he didn't go for it. I mean, obviously, you don't know if someone's watching, but because because we're omnipotent thanks to the observer feed, I'm real sad he didn't go for it.
Also, you could think maybe the idea was in case someone lurks on the basement from reception, just doesn't drone him, but that's also a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Anyways,
you don't think in the qualifier game, one map down for the biggest tournament of the year, Snake's gonna go for that? What the hell?
Maybe in another reality we see that happen and we get really happy that he kills 2 people there. But Bar finally in play as a bomb site, just not an extension point for TSM's roam. They are, of course, extending a little bit into bathroom, no shield over by Pixel, but still having someone over in bathroom with those little kill holes they've made is basically the same idea and practice of it, except now Mirage probably have to be a little more forward-facing, probably have to get into the building and really force themselves to break down the utility if they want to get Pixel control, which is very important when attacking this Bar side of Bar. And Bolo, I think playing in bathroom, kills someone trying to enter in from one of the window repels, I believe.
Melted, now dead, and Snake finally going for the punch out. Caught by Melted. How could he have known that the Nomad was still there 2 minutes into the round? Now, luckily, there was another follow-up kill. I believe it was from Achieved on the Hyper. I didn't quite see, but the mirror windows are still not dealt with from this attack. This is going to be rough. Well, all right. Just as I say that, never mind. They shot it. So one of the mirror windows, maybe both, now dealt with by this attack, but they do trail in the man advantage. There's still 2 C4s from TSM to play with, and nobody downstairs from Mirage to stop them from doing so. Now, Gasher's not really in a position to use it, but he's in a great position to use his gun, and the round's over. They walk in, and they die.
Yeah, if you blinked, you might have just... if you blinked, you might have missed that last end round for Mirage. Gasher as well. Gasher as well, laughing up the last couple seconds of that end replay. But, I mean, for Mirage, they died setting up there. You had Bolo, who was very much just comfortably sitting in bathroom. Kills, I think, I can't recall if it was either Mohas as Habana or Hyper on Sledge, either the nade player or the person opening up a wall. He killed one of those players who was on the window repel, and then the rest of Mirage kind of realized, okay, we can't get into piano room or deal with the guy who's bathroom / Pixel, so we have to kind of rotate over and go for more of a cocktail style clear. And funny enough, that castle barricade was kind of a good deterrent for anyone hopping in through Heaven, so it also limited what Mirage could do. They've got maybe the skylight drop, someone lurking up white stairs, which that didn't happen either. You've got, again, Cigar Shop going into the bomb site proper, and then someone on the window repel who usually waits until the very last moment to then hop in. So for Mirage, I just don't think they were well prepared enough to deal with all the utility that TSM just had set up for them. I think it was only one set of grenades, and their floors was never in a good spot to pop or terror drones. So they were crutched.
Absolutely.
Or they were handicapped, I should say.
No hard reach either to open up any additional lines of sight, because it was in fact Mo who I think died first.
Okay, yeah, that is brutal.
Indeed, John. And I saw that C4, the kill cam, is still replaying in my mind. That was really funny. The TSM
Carter
have the lead. Woo! The first lead they've had since round 3 of map 1. So they certainly want to hold on to this one. I mean, obviously, that's true in any position, but they especially want to now. This guy is just in sight. Dexter just walked up red and is in there. hunting down for the player who's tucked in train. Gasher has no idea he's there, and it's an opening pick. And now sight control in for Mirage. The rest of the team maybe looking to barrel their way through, just wanting a little bit more coverage. The smoke now in. Benji behind the A-bomb chassis. Mirage, though, not getting the plant down just yet. Where is Mo? He's low HP. Achieved now dead. The Warden playing in the smoke, but no one on the attack exposing themselves. So you can't take advantage of those glance glasses. Hyper's on this rappel. What a cutoff, too. One that you don't see often played. And TSM, even though the plant's not down yet, are still playing retake.
Ooh, the C4 popped up, though. Could maybe grant another kill here for the defensive side. Bolo catches one off screen onto Dexter, and Melted's on the diffuser, and he's just stuck in the bomb site. He's now dead. TSM have full case control, and Mirage are now equalized in a 2v2. This is horrible for them.
It just took them so long to get the case in a plantable position, and everyone is dying on the site as TSM, again, despite the plant not being down, they're still playing retake, and maybe the lack of that time pressure is aiding them in doing so, because they've been able to take their time and hit the brakes and figure out just what the hell is going on, even though Dexter was in quickly, even though Benji got that kill onto Achieved. It's been Snake and Bolo to work together in tandem and shut down any semblance of that dining push, dropping case as well, leaving Hyper in the 1 versus 2, and he takes the very, very close, almost intimate gunfight there, leaving Bolo the victor, and TSM with a 4-2 half.
And even the idea of preferring to plant in fireplace, I just don't believe that's the correct call to make, because we saw this elegant angle by Hyper he was holding from like the chandelier, the cave double window, whatever you prefer to call it. He's holding that double window outside on a rappel, and now no one can push back into mining room. And you already have somebody in train, that being Dexter, so why not just leave the person who's near fireplace, have him on a window rappel, or just keep him in the bomb site behind the hard wall like he was earlier in the round, and just have someone else that isn't Mohes to hop into mining room and plant the diffuser from there. There was no defender playing up above for vertical, so that wasn't an issue we had to worry about. It really seemed like Mirage just overcomplicated that mid-round against TSM because they were fighting back with a couple of kills here and there, and just kind of flustered them. And then once Melted died with diffuser in no man's land, now they have no option but to just take gunfights, and they are significantly weaker to do that because both their attackers are isolated compared to TSM, where they are quite literally hand-in-hand in train room. So a complete difference once you saw that change up on where you want to plant.
Yeah, and I think a big difference maker too was just the fact that there was a Warden present. Because like once Dexter was like, oh, I'm in sight, let me smoke off this double door because we have red control too. That's crazy. If that gets a kill, I will be... All right, it's not going to get a kill because Merc is over here. But I would have been flabbergasted.
Yeah. Because you're stuck on the rappel animation too, and it's really janky to shoot that. That was really cool by Melton. I'm glad our observer caught that too. Thank you.
Unfortunately, it doesn't find anything. But anyway, like I was saying, I think one of the most important parts is just that there was a Warden in play, because he was like, oh, let me smoke this. And then once they figured out there was a Warden, then it took even longer for the case to rotate in. So great job to, who was on the, I think it was Snake, for just existing. But Benji, a run out, gets the opening kill onto Bolo. Not the classic dining window hop out.
And for a bar attack, he was the one holding the cutoff on Whitehall, right? Now someone else probably has to do that, so that is a pretty major kill to find. Oh, here comes the final into Melted shotgun. He only gets one, but still, something is better than nothing, and they already had the man advantage. TSM now very desperate for options, despite them still killing Melted eventually.
Yeah, especially because Snake took so much damage in doing so. So Bolo actually triggered, or sorry, not Bolo, Merc actually triggered a Razor Bloom as he dropped the hatch and died. So when Snake dropped to get the refrag, he ended up getting damaged by it. But you can't really blame him for. I mean, you know, he had to get the refrag. It was just a good utility setup there from Melted to at least have himself go one for one with a ton of damage on Snake. Now, what are TSM going to do? How are they going to put this together? Still a castle to deal with, still a shield. Lucy Banshees everywhere. Tons and tons of utility for Mirage at TSM have to attempt to chew through. This is going to be a tough attack, not just because it's a 3v4, but again, because of that utility as well. Coverage that Dexter was playing behind on B2 gets eliminated by the Zoe, so he's forced to fall back a little bit, but not a terrible situation. Never, the plant is going down. What? They've got cover from Cigar. Dexter gets so lit up, but there's Benji finally to get the kill, I think, from Freezer. Achieve just not watching the appropriate angle when they really needed him to. So what could have been a really nice gambit from TSM ends up falling flat. The case now dropped in sight. The nade actually nets a kill onto Dexter, gets the finisher on the Warden, but there's only 20 seconds to play with, John. And they've got to go up against a Mirage, almost three-way crossfire here. Hyper holding onto the cigar door, though, doesn't see the Zoe as they go in for the plant attempt once again. This time, though, they're covering that trash wall. Benji's taken out by Achieve. There's 7 seconds left, but now the coverage is dead, and so is Achieve. Mirage take round number 7. TSM almost clawed it back, but Mirage still win it out.
Yeah, it was a good bait by Achieved, I have to say, because there is no chance when you have no control of piano, no one looking at Freezer as well, or even someone that might be able to challenge you from bar, there is no chance that you're basically getting that plant down in a 1 versus 3 with Snake being the only person gun up and him being at red HP. Getting off that plant and working a kill was great, but you still have to worry about Freezer and the Momai, who has taken all of his time to rotate back in through Pixel to then shoot from this incredibly long angle that was never challenged. And I think it was because you had lost, your Ashe at the very beginning of the round, you had lost someone else, I believe it was Merc with grenades. You didn't have as much utility you would want to actually, start pushing in through Pixel. With TSM having to kind of forego that, it left them to just kind of push in and hope they get that plant down. But again, the lack of coverage that they had, it guaranteed that Mirage would just take away that round off the 2 incredible opening kills, both the one we saw into Bolo by Benji just playing underneath, and also, again, just Merc getting shredded by that shotgun.
5 seconds left before.
And it was funny, too.
He just got blasted away. We just saw him disappear. He appeared on the map and then just poof, gone.
Like a magician.
Really?
A Houdini, not even of his own volition. That's how incredible it was. But it's reading room now for Mirage as they now work below. Bring in the smoke and the mute. So they've got plenty of site destruction available to them. Something that's very important on reading, especially if you're hell-bent on holding upstairs. Sometimes we see the defense with a lack of vertical. That sometimes goes and punishes them, so hopefully that's not the case. Also, a big fan of the Valkyrie being brought literally like every single round. I love that. We see Valkyrie play. I feel like even when Valkyrie is left up, we don't see her like a whole lot. So it's a bit refreshing.
Especially since we talked about TSM and Mirage's sometimes lack of info. That was more or less on the attacking side, though, but still just really harping in the fact that info can be king, put in the right environment. It's good to see that once again, especially a lot of the flooring being soft. We haven't seen a lot of C4s like combined with info, but for a site like Reading Room, pretty likely that can happen. I mean, especially when you've got a mute probably just anchored up in the bomb site. Maybe the Valkyrie can rotate later on as well. Yeah, I think the whole point of Mohes here might be just to throw C4 once people start entering into piano. So if he's got info about that, that could be a free kill from Mirage.
That could be huge, but the Pixel shield goes down as we now go right on past the minute 30 mark. TSM make their way into the building. Air jabs being set up by Snake as they start to take control in through Cigar as well as Piano. There's the cam we were just talking about. Here's the vault in. C4 goes up and it is flawless. Excellent opening engagement. Well, not really engagement because it was a C4, but excellent opening pick there for Mohesi to just weaken TSM a little bit. Of course, Nomad's utility was already out, but man advantage is always something that you're going to take.
And although Snake did deploy a handful, if not all of his air jabs, I mean, just still one less person available, less stuns for the execute. Oh, and Bolo's just going to charge Mohes, but he's got a shotgun as well. He could maybe win that, but he's currently focused on the top floor. TSM, are they going to just opt to go for a fireplace plant? I mean, it's definitely in the books for them, but I was going to say, yeah, it just doesn't seem likely given the comp that they have. I feel like they still want to try and attempt to go for a B execute, but I'm not really too sure at this point.
That was a nice gas canister from Melted to help him rotate out because he was really trapped in the corner there. Bolo unfortunately could not see him through the gas. Might not see Benji at least until the shots go out. Now the smoke re-aggresses to hold the corner, but Dexter is the next to die. TSM taking the man advantage until Benji hits a one-tap and a follow-up onto Gasher, looking for a third, catches Bolo off guard. 2v1, all left to achieve. Benji tucked in laundry, looking for the fight, dares him to peek, achieved, wins it, but the time is so low. Benjamin Money with the win, 3 kills on the round, saving it for Mirage.
And the Toxic Babe giving him so much space as well to just sit in the back and do what every DMR player wants to do, just have zero worry about anyone pushing them from the sidelines, getting up in their face, just having these long hallways to kill the planter hopping in from that pillar wall, killing the guy going reading hallway, eliminating Bolo before he can trade him. That was so well done for both the Aruni and also the smoke, if I believe it was melted, to also net him a lot of that space. You saw no one pushing him from the single door for a long portion of time, so everyone could just re-avert their focus on more of the southern half of that take. And then once you saw the wall get opened up, Benji just instantly snapped backs and no one there to pick back up the case. That's the diffuser stuck in the bomb site. Now TSM has to go for gunfights, but they are all just stuck in isolated positions. I mean, just gracefully done by Benji. And again, I really cannot just keep Melted out of that position because those smoke grenades really gave a lot more wiggle room there for Mirage.
Absolutely. And I remember 2 rounds ago, just 2 rounds. Basically like what, like 6 minutes. I was like, yeah, TSM, 4-2 half.
First half.
They have a lead. Let's go to map 3. Not because I'm biased for TSM, but because, you know, why wouldn't we want a map 3? Closer games are always better.
Yeah, who doesn't love Oregon?
All right, hold your horses. I'm not going to go that far. But a map 3 is a map 3 nonetheless. But now, that lead has slipped away. Mirage have equalized, and they are poised to take this lead once again. It would actually be our... Actually, no. The kitchen bar mining on rounds 4, 5, and 6 was the first 3 in a row string that we've had in this match. And Mirage are looking to replicate that. And if they do, like I said, they will have taken the lead. So we'll see if they can do it on mining, what appears to be their tertiary site. With Bolo alt walking in, but there's someone just behind the couch and they take him off guard. Mohesi playing off of his info. He was on the cams, hopped off of it, and gets the opening pick once again.
Bolo just not having enough info to figure out where exactly Mohes was. Now the Twitch has been removed, someone who could have been very helpful to break down some of those magnets in case you don't have everyone in the right place to utilize their flashbangs, for example. Breaking bulletproof cameras as well just goes a long way there for TSM. And also having someone coming up white to then help assist to deal with the player for Pixel once they fall back, that could have been very impactful for TSM to catch that, at least lurker, I guess, just falling back. That could have been a very nice kill to have on top of already killing that main roamer. A 5v3 for TSM with a minute 20. I mean, just think about that prospect.
Yeah, it has been rough, these first 2 attacks for TSM. That's certainly to be sure. And especially losing Bolo now, not going to help at all. They finally drop their way into the building, start to storm the gates. The gates, of course, being Piano and Longbar. Achieved the first kill for his team on to Benji Moolah, who just went absolutely monstrous in the last round. Hyper eats a nade to the face and is lit up to about 1 shot's worth of HP. Especially now because, you know, 3 armors don't resist damage. They just have more of it. And they look like they're going to hunt him down. Hyper, though, has dropped away. TSM have full control of this top floor. 35 seconds left. Time is dwindling, and Melted still has gas grenades in pocket.
And it's not the bomb side of Reading Room as well, so it's going to be a much bigger conversion here for TSM to try to get their way going over from Mining Room, especially with Gasher not really in a position to do his job on the Heartbreak. He's just kind of sitting out here waiting for his teammates to get into that sub-hallway so he can then hop in and have coverage to get the plant down, but really none of his teammates are in a position to cover.
Dexter with the kill on Snake 2 just makes matters worse, and Melted winning the fight against Achieved might have just put it in the bag for Mirage. Merc with 1, but Gasher can't make it into sight. He finishes off his kill, lines up a second with the pistol, but there is simply no time once again for the 2nd round in a row. Mirage win on virtue of the clock, and they complete the perfect site rotation 3 in a row, and Mirage hold the lead.
and Melted killing that vertical player of Achieved as well. He completely halted the prospects of a plant for TSM. And like I mentioned, there was no one else to cover Gasher because they didn't have any of the wall opened up. You had, I believe it was Merc who had to fully move around a Toxic Babe and a Surya Gate with just a crevice of an opening to slouch himself into Mining Room. I mean, Mirage just winning the most impactful gunfights in those final, 30, 20 seconds to completely flatline the execute, and TSM losing 3 rounds in a row. Mirage flawlessly sweeping them in the first half so far. They call for a timeout, and I mean, they absolutely need it, because if we don't see any prospects here that change for them, then, that's the series over, because we already saw Villa as a victory for Mirage 7-5. I mean, what's stopping them at this point from taking Cafe, their opponent's map pick?
We see a Mirage 2-0. Now that would be crazy.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Just unheard of, really. We hyped up TSM so much. It's not like we were discrediting Mirage, but going up against TSM, the former world champions of 2022, and also having their resurgence of the Young Free Major, it really did seem like a tall task.
Yes, because they won in 2022. They had a dip after Invite, but then came back and won Stage 3 of NAL, got out of groups, which Mirage didn't. It was looking like it was all going to be in TSM's favor.
Right.
I mean, especially just looking at the record in NAL 2, like, TSM had 7 wins. Mirage only had 4. One of the only reasons why Mirage went to the major instead of Dark Zero is because 3 of their 5 losses, I mean, they were technically negative. 3 of their 5 losses were in overtime. So they got a couple points from there. So you can't blame us for thinking TSM was going to 2-0 this, but Mirage have absolutely showed up and showed out. They are humbling TSM as we speak, and they are primed and ready to take this 2-0. Now, for the first time in this map since round 3, they hold the lead. And they're looking to keep it going. Now on to Kitchen. John, they are now playing all 4 sites. Interesting that Kitchen is their quaternary. They're not mine.
The crazy thing, too, is there's one note I made, more specifically during the open qualifiers, of Hyper and Benji just going crazy stat-wise with getting kills. We haven't seen that at all. Both on Villa and Map 2, everyone's just kind of holding their weight. They're playing very consistent against TSM, and that's proven to be a really big issue because they just haven't found a way to adapt. If their plan A just fails, that basically just flatlines the entire round. But maybe this opening kill...
look at the stat lines between both teams. TSM, Gasher is negative. He's the only guy negative. Mirage don't have a single player who's completely positive. Especially now, as Mohesi goes down to Snake. But again, that just goes to show kills are certainly not everything when it comes to Siege. I mean, the worst they have, they've got a guy going 6-9. Lol. As Snake gets a second pick onto Hyper. So, could this be TSM now turning things around, stopping the bleeding of the Mirage 3 in a row? In a 5 versus 3, not a single point of damage being done. Plenty of utility still left for TSM with a nade, a few flashes, Gasher with all of Capitau's utility. And now I love that they're hitting the brakes. They're gathering info. They do not want to let this man advantage slip away.
They can also still get vertical down as well. Now the roamers have gone away. Achieve doing exactly that on the Buck. So that's also going to limit where Mirage can play in this 3 versus 5. I believe they're going to have someone out in the window repel as well. It seems to be more of a cocktail focus attack, but they do still have someone over by top red just to be that lurk player. So they really are accounting for everything in these final 30 seconds, which is great.
Melted going to start things off with a kill onto Gasher. The sledge getting collapsed upon by Dexter. And just like that, we've equalized. John, where'd the man advantage go? Bolo's going to force himself up the white stairs, searching for any opening he could possibly muster. Behind the shield, the Frost is playing. Dexter's got the advantage, but he misses the shots. Now he's stuck in the corner, but the quick peeks come out. Light Bull up to 1 HP. He finally gets the better of him, but Benji's got the trade. Make it a second for Benji. Achieved is alone. Out on the rappel, Benji! And Mirage with round 10 off the 3K. TSM could not afford to let that man advantage slip away, and yet they do. 6-4 match point for Mirage.
B Money just making racks over by Piano side. And TSM, nothing to say about it as well. The fact that we saw the Sledge player die over by top red, that gave much more freedom for Mirage to be aggressive on some of those late round swings over by Cigar Shop, over by the side of Piano, which is where we saw Benji find all of that success in the final few kills he ended up collecting. Not only that, but there was a very huge lack of window repel presence, which is a make or break when it comes to a cocktail execute. We saw in like the last, 5 or 10 seconds when Benji got the final kill, there was someone over by Heaven, but I think that was off of someone maybe on the roof rotating, just again, in the very few dire moments of that round, which did not amount to much for TSM. Maybe they were concerned about the deployable shield that was placed over by Freezer, because that looked like a direct counter to having someone on that cocktail single window. But when you've got nades, when you've got burn, when you have ash charges and Capital bolts, you can get somebody off of that deployable shield. So I think TSM just really undermined what Mirage could accomplish in another 3v5, which, funny enough, for their anchors, have been enough to completely stop TSM from winning executes when they just have 3 people up in power spots.
I love too, John, that in the past 3 rounds, Benji has gotten, I think, like 6 or 7 kills, and he's only +1. It's just, and it's not because Benji's bad. It's not because anyone on Mirage is bad. It's just funny. Like, TSM are by far and away winning in the frag department, and it just doesn't matter at all. I mean, talk about impact frags, really, for Mirage. It is just simply incredible right now. Winning 6-4 with only 1 player positive, and that player only being +1. Meanwhile, you have Merc going 11-6, trying to put up his best effort, but I mean, they are 1 round away from winning 2-0, and they're gonna bring out Capcan, Valkyrie. I mean, more traps, more denial in terms of that smoke and that Aruni. But it might be TSM with the first pick. They let Mo get away. Merc tries his best. They light up the Capcan at the very least, but it's no opener.
And still that C4, for a bomb site like Reading Room, it builds its value over time when TSM is going to begin to work down that vertical. I've talked about that several hundred times. That's one of the ways that Mohes has secured a free entry, was off the back of someone on cams. I think it was Dexter playing Valkyrie, and him just saying, okay, they're beginning to enter in through ticket right now. Get a C4 prepped, throws it out, and it's a free kill. Needless to say, that could happen once again for Mirage. And TSM have already burned about a minute 20, minute 30 off of their timer, so they're going to be really stretched, even when they push back these roamers to then set up vertical and then have a meaningful execute that could work against all this utility that Mirage has been stockpiling for.
John, it's been 2 minutes.
And they have not even, like, breathed any... They haven't even, like... I don't even know what to say. They haven't done anything to push back
They haven't
Mirage.
even sniffed the site yet.
That's where I was getting at. Thank you for finishing that off.
You're welcome. They're sniffing that boof, though, as Melted put out that gas canister and is lighting Merc up just a little bit as Merc finally makes his way through. So, after 2 minutes and 20 seconds, Mirage fall off the top floor and leave TSM with all the control, but very little time to make anything happen with it. Merc looking to come down the white stairs, but there's someone watching his angle. Dexter is daring him to try and hit the walk down. Achieve needs to work this vert as efficiently as humanly possible. Benji will be the first casualty thanks to Achieve, but Dexter with a refrag, and now the retake! Working his way upstairs. Gasher's getting the plant down. Achieve now on the floor. This is the perfect opportunity for Dexter to go huge. Can he kill Gasher in time? No! The plant goes down, but Snake is dead. Hyper refrag. 2v3. Gasher and Bolo get themselves the hell out of the building. And that could single-handedly save the round. Bolo's going back upstairs. Gasher's playing on the snow door, but Melted's hitting the counter defuse. He's got cover, but the cover dies. Gasher and Bolo both with kills of their own. TSM, by the grace of God, take that round back.
And with Dexter unable to stop the plant from going down, it gave enough time for everyone to get out of the building during the post plant, and Bolo coming back up above was the perfect remedy to having that man disadvantage. Unless we saw everyone on Mirage going back up above to retake, then there is no other option for Mirage to have to still win that round, because again, there's someone outside. You might need to hop out on them or just get aggressive in their face and just stay off of that diffuser. And again, having to also worry about someone playing up above. But Mirage had no info that TSM were opting to go back and play for the vertical. They just finished wiping out the entire top floor of attackers. So for all they know, it's still barren of any player now that they lost Dexter up above as well. So they just think none the wiser of it, and it just falls right into the trap card that TSM set up last second. But I mean, the amount of time it took TSM to set everything in motion just to barely whip out that round win, that was terrifying for them, because it, like we were just jokingly talking about, it took them 2 whole minutes to just start, pushing back the defenders, let alone forcing them off the top floor. That was very terrifying to watch for TSM.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
John, that round had my heart racing. I cannot lie.
It really sounded like it.
So, max regulation for the second map in a row. TSM on the back foot in max regulation for the second map in a row. We'll either see a 2-0 or OT. Starting with, of course, the top floor clear from TSM, as this is a mining defense. I love that Mirage are switching it up. I mean, both teams played all 4 sites, which I really appreciate. But Mirage certainly, I think, placing a little bit more faith in mining.
I mean, what? I was going to say, what round did we see Mirage end up going into double kitchen? I don't...
They went on kitchen,
I was going to say, I don't think we had that. Unless
I have kitchen written down.
Huh.
Maybe,
well,
you know what? Maybe they had kitchen, like, selected and then switched off of it.
Yeah, that might have happened. I was going to say, I don't recall them going into kitchen. We've seen them attack it a bunch of times with Blitz. That didn't work out. There's a perfect example of tacky Mirage strats. Luckily, we haven't seen much of that on the defense, hence why they've had a pretty solid regiment. There go the stuns to force back the Pixel player, so decent control so far for TSM. Much better pacing than what we saw last round, but there's still plenty of defenders just sitting up above. And sure, Merc is over and Pixel, causing a bit of chaos, but no one has to initially just challenge them, although we see 2 defenders do exactly that. But, I mean, he still has a long way to go before he can take another engagement, and now he's pretty low in HP on top of that.
I thought that was a headshot onto the White Stairs guy. I thought he had that kill.
Narrowly.
But he didn't. The game said no. And now Merc is very low HP. The fallback being opened by Dexter as well, so that the top floor roamers can safely get back to site as Merc once again presses the issue. Snake with the lead off though onto Hyper, puts his team in a great position. They chase back the roamers. Merc can't get the falling back with Benji, but TSM do have the open.
Insane. They start getting some hatches opened up as well, I believe, in the background. Interested to see how TSM want to execute once again. I think they want to do the same take of going into mining room and going for that plant. But again, if they don't have this vertical working out for them, which I think the exact opposite of that is going down, it's working out swimmingly for Achieved. If this vertical can continue to force back defenders, then we might have overtime built up.
Absolutely, and Merc looking to put the overtime in his back pocket with a kill, instantly traded by Benji, but the plant being completed by Gasher, and Benji can't do a damn thing about it, and now that his only teammate is dead, well, John, it's looking like OT, unless Benji clutches a 1v4. He's got 1 kill, but now with the revolver out, he's got to back off and reload, which wastes a little bit more time. And Achieved still playing on the hatch. Well, he's not going to let things get out of hand. Overtime on map 2 as TSM desperately try to claw their map pick back.
Yeah, thankfully for TSM, they force back the Pixel player, which in the grand scheme of things is the most they have to do when attacking mining room, just so they get some of that vertical down, making sure that they're not going to have to worry about any pesky roamers trying to stop them from actually entering in through mining room by having a guy just sitting on train like we saw Melted do once he killed the sledge the last time that bomb site was in play. So everything accounted for there for TSM was plenty for them. And also, again, having someone, lurk in the late round, just having extra options in those last 30 seconds also was great. Now they made sure that fireplace was completely free, so it's just, maybe someone trapped in train room, which again, with vertical going down, they can't really get as aggressive as they want to stop the planter. And then maybe someone, roaming around like red stairs, for example, but with people outside near like the AC balcony, they're going to be shut down instantly. So TSM, fantastic accountability on the round that mattered most to put them in overtime.
Absolutely. And now, guess what?
Now we're back to kitchen.
We're back to kitchen.
No blitz.
And
5 seconds left.
that's true, no blitz. And thirdly, John, TSM got the defense. it's been back-to-back.
Was their better half.
4-2 defensive halves in favor of the defending side. So TSM, now that they've finally pushed it to OT, I think may have a slight breath of relief, saying, all right, guys, we know we can win defense. Attack was shaky, but we know we can win defense. And Kitchen was the only site that they went to twice and won both times. Even though Mirage did the same successful rush back-to-back, TSM still won the site. And Mirage, though, doing something very different that TSM have not seen yet, and that's a full, proper top-down clear.
Yeah, I was going to mention how different things could play out here for both TSM and Mirage, because it isn't the exact same blitz strat we've seen 2 times in a row by them. And so far, without the blitz, doesn't really seem like they're as handicapped. Benji secures the first opener, which, funny enough, he did as blitz, so I guess it doesn't make much of a difference. And he's over by Fakery. So in the grand scheme of things, doesn't seem too different, but it's on Merc, someone who found consistent 3Ks on the Oryx for that bomb site. So now someone else has to pick up the slack because of his lack of presence.
However, luckily, even though Merc is on 12 kills, it's not like the rest of TSM is far behind. There's three players on 11. Dude, this is the craziest kill split in overtime I've ever seen. One where 4 players are on double digits, and one where 1 guy is positive. I keep kind of hammering that point home, which makes it sound like I'm emphasizing the kills, but I'm emphasizing how much, again, I said it again, I keep saying it, how much kills don't matter. You look at these 2 splits, and if I just saw the kills, John, I'd be like, oh yeah, TSM probably won 7-4 or something. But no, we're in OT, and Mirage have the opening kill, and look at that. With that kill onto the Oryx, 2 minutes down, we're starting to see the vert being worked, but very swiftly. Gasher shuts it down. They dust Hyper. There's no buck, there's no redundancy, and that could easily make the Anchors way more comfortable and lead to success on the first round of overtime for TSM.
Luckily, they've got enough vertical to maybe force back Bolo, but he's still just sitting in code check, and Gasher gets aggressive from Prep. That's 2 major kills for TSM. Snake playing by Whiskey annihilates Dexter, and now it's just melted, and he gets shot in the side with Bolo just looking through the smoke with his primary gadget. And now TSM, they're back in the lead, and for the first time, they're the ones in match point in the driver's seat.
Absolutely. By the way, another three in a row berth for TSM. With that leadoff pick onto Merc, I was a little bit worried with how weak that roam presence was once he died, but Mirage, I think, took just a little bit too much time getting into the middle floor to work the vert. It took 2 minutes, even though they killed Merc fairly early on. And from there, killing the vert really early, making sure the sledge wasn't going to have really any say in the round, and that prompted TSM to get aggressive. It's something that we criticized them for on Villa, but it worked to their success in that past round we just saw. Now Mirage work onto their defense. Again, the favored side going upstairs to bar that they also, just like TSM's Kitchen, played twice and won twice. But similarly to TSM's Kitchen, the only reason Mirage won this was off of a really big 3K from the one and only Benji Mula. So John, do we see Mirage with a more team-oriented defense like we just saw from TSM on Kitchen, or is someone going to need to step up big again?
I would expect more team antics, if anything, because yeah, sure, Benji did find that 3K. He was allowed to because of the lack of positions that TSM could carry themselves to. In those last couple of seconds when executing, we look at the first time Bar was in play for Mirage, TSM just struggled to even get a foothold inside a pixel, so they avoid it like the plague, and it costs them greatly when they try to plant default. And the next time Bar's in play, they go for the exact opposite. They go over towards cocktail execute, and that fails because their red player dies and because no one's on any kind of window repel. So if TSM cannot get these last second positions that they need to execute properly, I could imagine we go to full 15.
I think that's definitely in the cards. With the way these 2 teams have been playing, I'll be surprised if we don't see round 15. Castle Barricade on Heaven already opened up, thanks to the sledge of Merc. And I'm thinking with Gasher on the rappel as Capital, they're going to be going for a cocktail execute, especially because they have that buck. Gasher's got a lot of really good utility to get himself into cocktail with the flames and smokes, but there's also a player downstairs looking to prevent Achieved from working bottom up. It's the Valkyrie here of Mo Hesse. I almost called him Two-Piece. By the way, I can't believe I'm saying this now on map 2, but if you're confused as to who Two-Piece is, it's Mo Hesse. That's why we've been calling him that. There's perfect info on him. Almost a turnaround from Bolo. Benji's still alive. What? But melted. And Mo Hesse are not. TSM, 2 opening picks before Dexter finally responds, but still, they lost the buck. They've lost a good chunk of their bottom-up play, but there's still 3 nades and an Ash. So TSM are certainly not out of this yet.
I would not count out Mirage either, though. We've seen them countless times in a 3-on-5 still hold out in the bomb site and deny and with executing. And maybe that kill by Benji could have been masterful, but luckily, with the help of that grenade, Merc being able to fall away, not lose his life just yet, still keeping Mirage pretty anxious in this next minute. And the grenade, sure, it doesn't find a kill, but it does major chip damage on the Dexter. Here comes the super shorty play, but it backfires perfectly, and Bolo now puts us in a 4v2.
That was a crazy attempt there from Benji, but the Warden's watching the smoke. If Gasher swings in, he is a dead man, but now it's all up to the Warden of Dexter in a 1 versus 4, and Merc blindsides him. TSM from the brink of defeat show us that it's not over yet. Winning both rounds in overtime, they take Cafe, their map pick 8-6. John, we are going to Oregon.
After 4 solid round wins in a row, you're correct. We'll be heading to Oregon just shortly, but that last round in the end, I mean, everybody was firing